I thought I would have to live with knee pain my whole life. 4 years, I got used to enduring that constant discomfort. At first, it only hurt when I climbed stairs, then during long walks. But over time, I felt the pain, even when sitting, getting out of bed, or simply turning over in sleep. It was as if my own legs were telling me that something inside me was slowly fading away. I tried everything: ointments, pills, injections, physical therapy. Some treatments eased the pain for a few days, but it always came back. I went from doctor to doctor, each with a new theory, a new prescription, a new hope. Yet, at the end of the day, the story was always the same. "That's just aging," they said, as if that were a sentence, not just a phase of life. I felt frustrated, tired. I wondered if the rest of my years would be like this, avoiding walking a lot, canceling outings, saying no to simple things like going to the market just out of fear of that stabbing pain that blocked my way. But one night, something changed. While looking through an old notebook that had belonged to my grandmother, full of recipes and home remedies, I found a mixture she used for joint pain. I thought I could try it. I prepared the oil as instructed, quietly applied it before bed, and after only 3 nights, I felt such a deep, unexpected change that I couldn't help but cry. It's not a miracle cure. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want to tell you what helped me calmly, step by step. Because if you also feel like there's no healing left, maybe this story will give you a little hope. And before I start, I want to ask you something. Do you suffer from knee pain too? Write it to me in the comments. How old are you? And from which country are you watching me? When pain becomes part of your life. There are pains that come and go, like after a fall or when you sleep badly. But there are others that come and stay. And over time, they don't just hurt. They become part of you, like a shadow that follows you everywhere. That was the case with the pain in my knees. At first, it was sporadic, a slight burning when climbing stairs, a pulling during longer walks, or that strange cracking when I stood up after sitting for a long time. But slowly, the pain began to penetrate every moment of my day. I remember one morning getting out of bed and feeling such a sharp stab in my left knee that I had to sit back down. Something as simple as getting out of bed became a small challenge. From then on, every movement demanded more strength than it should. Climbing stairs became a strategy. First one leg, then the other, always careful not to overstretch myself. I looked at the stairs as if they were a mountain. I even avoided visiting friends without elevators. Walking was no longer a pleasure. I used to do it for fun, to clear my head, move my body, feel the fresh air. But when the knees started to hurt on the second step, walking became torture. I declined invitations, said I was tired, stayed home just to avoid feeling the pain, and sleeping, well, sleeping became torture. I woke up at night because of the burning and pressure in my joints. I tried everything: pillows between my legs, changing positions, massages before sleep. Sometimes it helped a little, but never enough. The worst wasn't just the physical pain, it was frustration, helplessness, the feeling that my body was letting me down. I got angry at myself, asked, "Why me? Why now?" And the worst, no one around really understood. They'd say it will pass or it's normal with age. But when the pain is your own, that comforts little. And yes, it's true, it's common. After 60, joint wear and pain become more frequent. Many people experience the same: cartilage breaking down, persistent inflammation, stiffness, cracking, limited mobility. But just because it's common doesn't make it less painful, even less easy to accept. Over time, you adapt your life to avoid the pain. You walk less, exercise less, sit more. You accept that many things are no longer possible. And without realizing it, the pain takes not just your knees, it takes your decisions, your days, your freedom. At some point, you no longer think you live with pain. You live for the pain, as if everything revolved only around it. And when that happens, something inside you begins to fade. That's why I decided it couldn't go on like this. Something had to change. Everything I tried, and what didn't help. When pain becomes every day, you search everywhere for answers. Doctors, pharmacies, magazines, the internet, anywhere someone promises even a little relief. That's how my long, frustrating, and often expensive journey began. My first choice was the usual painkillers: paracetamol, ibuprofen, naproxen. At first, it seemed to help. The pain eased for a few hours. I could move better, but soon it came back. And over time, I noticed I needed higher doses to feel relief. Then came creams, the ones promising instant effect, deep penetration, long-lasting relief. I bought tube after tube, expensive and cheap. I applied them hopefully, massaged my knee gently, hoping for a miracle that never came. Some gave a cooling sensation, others warmth, but all ended up in the almost helped drawer. Then I tried patches. Those you stick to the skin promising slow medication release. I tried everything: menthol patches, lidocaine patches, supposedly anti-inflammatory agents. Some irritated my skin, others did nothing. I expected a feeling, anything, but only disappointment came. Then came a more intense phase: injections. A specialist recommended infiltrations to reduce inflammation. Many patients supposedly benefit, he said. So I tried. The needle went into the joint, and for a few days, yes, I felt relief. I thought I'd finally found a solution. But as often happens, it was just an illusion. After a few weeks, the pain came back, not stronger, but just as present. I felt betrayed by my body and all these medical promises that gave hope then forgot you. I wasn't alone. In my hiking group, which I quit because of the pain, I met many going through the same. Peter, 74 years old, told me he even tried acupuncture. Martha, 69, had spent a fortune on imported supplements that didn't even improve her nails. We all shared the same story with small differences. Months, even years, searching for relief without real results. And the worst wasn't the effort or money. It was the feeling of doing everything right and nothing changing. At some point, you wonder if you're the problem, if your body just failed and there's nothing you can do. I felt the pain winning. It demanded rest, but also movement, strength, but also patience, relief. Yet, no one seemed to have the answer. And exactly at that point, just before I wanted to give up, something unexpected happened. A coincidence, a forgotten page, a recipe no one had recommended. But that changed everything. The unexpected discovery. It was an ordinary afternoon. Nothing special expected. I was cleaning old drawers. The kind you always say, when I have time to clean. Between yellowed papers, envelopes, and forgotten photos, I found something unexpected, a small tied notebook with my grandmother's dense handwriting. I opened it curiously, thinking I'd find old cooking recipes or shopping lists. But no, it was better. A book of home remedies, those passed down generation to generation, handwritten in blue ink with words that seemed from another time. There was everything: infusions for colds, ointments for coughs, compresses for runny noses, and on a page in the middle, next to a drawn star, something that made me pause. It said, for joint pain, apply lukewarm rosemary oil to the affected area 3 nights in a row. Soothes, reduces inflammation, and strengthens. I read it twice. Rosemary oil? Could that really work? At first, I laughed. After years of trying medicines, creams, and expensive treatments, was an oil our grandmothers used the solution? That sounded naive. But that night, preparing for bed and feeling that stabbing pain in my right knee again, something inside me said, what if it works? So, I began researching, not in blogs or videos by amateurs, but in medical articles, scientific publications, health magazines. And to my surprise, rosemary was no nonsense. Recent studies confirmed that essential rosemary oil has anti-inflammatory, pain-relieving, and muscle-relaxing properties. It contains compounds like cineol and rosmarinic acid, which help reduce inflammation and pain in joint tissues. Some studies even compared it to mild medications in terms of anti-inflammatory effects, but without their side effects. And not only that, physiotherapists and naturopaths also recommend rosemary as a complement to conventional therapies. Applied locally, it can improve circulation, reduce stiffness, and ease muscle discomfort. What convinced me the most wasn't science. It was the memory of my grandmother. She raised 6 children, rarely went to the doctor. She knew which tea to drink for colds, what to put on a bruise, and which herb helped which ailment. She had no titles, but wisdom. And if she gave this remedy a star, there had to be a reason. Still, I had doubts. Part of me thought, it can't be that easy. If it were, everyone would have done it. But the other part, tired of suffering, spending, and disappointment, said, what do I lose if I try it for 3 nights? That night I prepared. I bought pure, high-quality essential oil, no additives. I warmed it slightly, just enough to feel warm on the skin, and applied it with slow circular motions to my knee, almost like a small ritual of care. I expected nothing, no illusions. But what happened next? I could hardly believe myself. Which oil exactly I used and why it works? The oil I used was essential rosemary oil. And I want to explain why I chose this one and no other. It wasn't by chance. What convinced me was that it appeared repeatedly in both old home remedies and current medical articles. And when I researched more deeply, I found rosemary is much more than a kitchen herb. It contains various active compounds with real effects on the body. One is rosmarinic acid, a powerful antioxidant that protects cells from decay and at the same time has anti-inflammatory effects directly on painful tissues. Another important ingredient is cineole, which has pain-relieving properties and improves local blood flow when applied to the skin. In fact, I found a study from the University of Medical Sciences in Tehran showing that people who used rosemary oil to massage painful areas reported significant pain reduction in joints and muscles compared to those who used nothing or only ordinary creams. It wasn't a miracle cure, but a real and measurable improvement. Additionally, rosemary oil has a relaxing effect on muscles. When massaged in, it not only reduces inflammation, but also helps loosen tense muscles, making movement easier and reducing stiffness. What I also learned, not all oils are the same. They must be pure essential oils of good quality. The so-called aromatic or perfumed products do not have the same effect. I used 100% pure essential oil that I bought at a trusted herbal shop. It wasn't cheap, but also not the cheapest, and that's important. It's not about spending a lot, but choosing wisely. How to apply it so it really works. I'll tell you exactly how I did it. Every night, shortly before going to sleep, I warmed the oil slightly. Not over fire or microwave, but by putting a few drops in my palm and rubbing my hands until the warmth activated the oil. Alternatively, you can place the bottle in warm water for a few minutes. Then I sat in a quiet place with good light and applied 10 to 15 drops on my knee. With slow circular motions, I massaged gently but firmly from the center outward, as if pushing the discomfort away. I massaged for 5 to 10 minutes without hurry, breathing deeply, feeling the touch and the warmth slowly penetrating. Afterwards, I wrapped my knee in a dry cotton cloth and went to sleep. I did not wash the area off. The oil should work overnight. The next morning, I rinsed with warm water. I did this 3 nights in a row, exactly as my grandmother's notebook recommended. No more, no less. And the change was so clear that even today, it's hard for me to talk about it without getting emotional. I'm not saying rosemary is magic. I'm not trying to sell you anything. But if you apply it with respect, perseverance, and a genuine will to heal, it can help you more than you think. And it doesn't work only on knees. Many people use it on ankles, shoulders, wrists. Wherever there is pain and inflammation, rosemary can be a great natural helper. Do you dare to try? Just remember, oil quality, gentle warmth, slow massages, and 3 nights in a row. Sometimes the secrets to health are not in pharmacies, but in recipes our grandmothers wrote by hand over 50 years ago. The first night, something different. I remember exactly how that first night was. I had prepared everything as if it were a small ritual: the warm oil, the quiet room, a clean towel next to the bed. I didn't expect a miracle, but deep inside there was a spark of hope. Part of me wanted to believe that maybe, just maybe, it could work. I sat down, applied the drops of rosemary oil on my right knee, my most rebellious knee, and began to massage it slowly. Not hard, not hurried, just intentional. The scent of rosemary filled the room, warm, penetrating, almost comforting. It reminded me of the days when my grandmother cooked and wore a sprig of rosemary behind her ear. I never thought that smell would one day be so important to me. During the massage, I felt a slight warmth, no itching, no burning, but something pleasant, as if blood flowed better under the skin. The pain was still there, yes, but different. Not so sharp, more distant. I lay down with no expectations. I just wanted to rest. That night, I slept as usual, one leg stretched out, the other bent, searching for the position that hurt the least. But something strange happened. I didn't wake up in the middle of the night from pain anymore. Something that had happened for years. Around 3 o'clock or 4 in the morning, like clockwork, I used to wake from the stabbing pain, forcing me to change position or take a pill. But not that night. I woke up with the alarm, confused. Had I slept through the night? I could hardly believe it. I stood up carefully, expecting the pain to come back as soon as I put my foot on the floor. And yes, it was still there, but weaker, softer. I thought it might be coincidence. A good day, nothing more. But I repeated the ritual on the second night. Again, the massage, again, the scent, again, the calm. And that night was even better. I fell asleep faster. No tossing in bed, no complaints. The next morning, when I got out of bed, I felt something I hadn't felt in many years: lightness. Don't get me wrong, the pain didn't vanish overnight like magic. But it was clear something had changed. It was as if the knee was breathing, as if it stopped screaming so loudly, as if finally someone was listening. The third night was special. This time I massaged longer, took my time, even played soft music. I felt connected to myself, to my body, and above all, to the idea that for the first time in a long time, I was doing something that really helped. The next morning, I got up with less effort. I walked down the hallway without holding on to the walls. I went to the kitchen without dragging my feet. And while making coffee, something hit me that made me stop for seconds. I didn't think about the pain. 4 years, every step, every movement, every thought was determined by pain. But that morning, the pain moved to the background. It was no longer the center. It was as if I got a piece of freedom back. It wasn't magic. No miracle cure or quick fix. It was applied nature with patience, respect, an open mind, and a heart ready to heal. And sometimes that's exactly what we need. Not a quick cure, but a small door to hope. How I integrated it into my daily life. After the third night, I didn't want to stop. Not just because of the physical relief, but because of everything I felt: hope, connection, peace. So I made this small moment into something bigger. I turned it into a daily routine, a space just for me, without hurry, without distractions. Every night at the same time, just before sleep, I prepared myself for that moment. I needed no more than 15 minutes. But those minutes changed everything. First, I created a calm environment. I turned off the TV, put my phone on silent, and lit a warm, soft light. Sometimes I played very soft instrumental music, as if I wanted to prepare the room not only for my body but also for my mind. Then I warmed some rosemary oil in my hands. This simple gesture became almost sacred, rubbing palms until the warmth released the scent, closing my eyes, taking a deep breath. That first breath relaxed my shoulders, chest, and even my mood. The massages were always gentle. It wasn't about pressing hard, but accompanying the body like caring for a plant that wants to bloom. I started at the knee with slow circular movements, gradually working the sides as if drawing a calming spiral. Sometimes I spoke softly to myself, thanked for this moment, reminded myself I was doing something for me, independent of others. But I didn't stop there. I realized that if I wanted lasting change, I had to do more than just the oil. Pain doesn't arise overnight and doesn't disappear from one remedy. So, I began to observe my habits. The first was nutrition. I didn't follow any strange diet, but reduced things that promote inflammation: less sugar, fewer processed foods, less fried food. Instead, I ate more green vegetables, fruits like pineapple and blueberries, and drank infusions of ginger and turmeric. Simple food, but real food that nourishes and helps the body repair instead of burdening it. I also did something I had given up. I moved more. I didn't run marathons or go to the gym. I simply started walking every day, even if just 10 minutes around the block. At first, it was hard, it hurt, I got tired. But slowly I felt my legs respond better. The knee complained less. My feet became steadier. I even did gentle stretches in the morning. Deep breaths, slow joint movements, small gestures that seemed insignificant but added up day by day and made a big difference. And something changed inside me. I no longer felt like a victim of pain. I no longer saw my body as an enemy. I began to see it as a partner, an ally that needs care, not punishment. I re-established the connection to its signals, its needs. I stopped ignoring warnings. I began to listen. I didn't just heal the symptom. I didn't cover the pain with another pill. I faced it with respect. I understood it. And in doing so, I regained something I thought I had lost: trust in my own body. It's not just about walking pain-free, it's about feeling again that you can take care of yourself, that not everything is lost, that at any age you can start anew with small steps but a strong heart. And it all began with a few drops of oil, with hands that wanted to heal, and a decision not to give up. Mistakes to avoid. So, the oil works. After I shared my experience, many asked me, why didn't it help me? Is my pain different? Am I doing something wrong? And although every body is unique and reacts at its own pace, I understood something important over time. It's not enough to just apply the oil. There are common mistakes that can make even the best natural remedy ineffective. I want to tell you these mistakes so you avoid them. Don't waste time, energy, or hope. The first mistake, and perhaps the most common, is applying the oil incorrectly or too hastily. Some drip a few drops on the knee, spread it like an ordinary cream, and that's it. But a natural oil is not a cosmetic product. It's a tool that must be applied with intention. With rosemary oil, the massage is part of the treatment concept. It's not just about rubbing in, but about stimulating circulation, warming the area, giving the body time to absorb the oil. If you do it quickly and carelessly, it doesn't penetrate properly. You don't give it a real chance to work. The second mistake is lack of continuity. Many use the oil once or twice and stop if they don't see immediate results. But this is not a magic pill that works in 10 minutes. It's a process. It must be applied every night, at least 1 or 2 weeks before judging the effect. Think of it like watering a plant. If you water once and then forget for days, it won't grow. It's the same here. The oil needs repetition, routine, your commitment. Another common mistake is mixing the oil with creams or synthetic products without knowing their ingredients. Some mix the natural oil for convenience or habit with pharmacy creams that often contain chemicals which can block or neutralize the oil's absorption. Some gels contain petroleum derivatives, silicones, or alcohols that form a layer on the skin and prevent the natural oil from penetrating properly. If you mix the oil with such products, you might unknowingly ruin its benefits. Ideally, use the oil pure on clean skin. If you want, you can mix it with another natural carrier oil like almond or coconut oil, but avoid artificial creams or improvised mixtures. And finally, perhaps the most subtle mistake, expecting the oil to do all the work alone. Yes, the oil helps a lot, but it can't do everything for you. If you keep eating highly processed foods after applying it, sit all day, don't stretch, and drink too little, then the oil works alone, and that's unfair for it and for you. Remember, the oil is an ally. But you must also support your body. Your body wants to heal. It's made for it, but it needs your help. Good nutrition, movement, attention. Rosemary, arnica, eucalyptus, all these gifts of nature are powerful, but they need fertile ground. And that ground is you, your skin, your blood, your will. Don't get frustrated if you don't see immediate results. Don't give up out of impatience. Do it right. Do it with love and, above all, with belief in yourself. Because what heals is not just the oil, but your decision to take care of yourself again. When something changes your life. When something changes your life, even if it's just a few drops of oil, you have to tell. At least that was the case for me. First, I told my family, then friends. And the most amazing thing, I wasn't the only one who noticed changes. After seeing my knee pain improve, I started applying the oil to other places where I already felt discomfort, but ignored it out of habit or resignation. One night, after a somewhat longer walk, I noticed my ankles were swollen, something that happened more and more often. I decided to try it with the same care: warm hands, gentle massage, slow breathing. I fell asleep with no expectations. And the next day, the swelling had gone down. But even more surprising was that I no longer felt that inner burning pain that used to torment me at night. A few days later, it was the hip's turn. For months, I had felt an unpleasant pulling when getting up or lying on my side, as if something didn't fit. I applied the oil exactly where the bones spoke at night. And although it didn't work as fast as on the knees, after the third night, getting up became easier. It wasn't just physical relief. It was the feeling that my body was working with me again. Then came the hands. My sister, who has stiff fingers from arthritis, called me and asked, "Do you think this oil you use? Could it help me too?" I gave her a small bottle. 3 days later, she wrote, "Yesterday, I opened a jar all by myself. You don't know how much I cried." Stories like that repeated. My neighbor, 74 and working a lot with his hands, tried it on his shoulders. A friend of my wife, who has wrist pain from years of sewing, started using it, too. The amazing thing, they all said the same thing. I didn't think it would work. No one believed it at first. Everyone thought it was one of those things that only helps in theory, but after a few days of consistent use, they noticed changes. And that made me think, maybe these home remedies don't work because they're ineffective, but because we forgot to give them their place, because they don't work like a pill that numbs the symptom. They don't pretend to give instant relief. They invite us to heal, but at a different pace, with a different logic. Unlike industrial products, these oils come without empty promises or hidden side effects. They are not miracles, but powerful when applied with respect, care, and above all, patience. That's what we all discovered who tried it. It's not about working magic, but trusting again in the simple, in what nature provides, in what our grandparents knew without reading labels. Today, I can honestly say this oil gave me more than physical relief. It gave me back the power to care for myself. And when I shared it with others, I saw how it changed their lives, too. So, if you're thinking about trying it, don't do it expecting a trick. Do it with intention. Do it with presence. Because when you really commit to care, the body responds. Final thoughts. If you've read this far, I can only say thank you. Thank you for listening, for accompanying me, for giving me a few minutes of your time. Because I know if you're watching this video, you're probably tired, too. Tired of living with pain. And I want to tell you something someone should have told me years ago when I didn't know what to do anymore. Don't give up on yourself. Don't believe that because you're 60, 70, 80, your body doesn't deserve relief anymore. Don't believe that because a doctor said that comes with age, you must accept suffering as fate. I believed it too. I got used to the pain. I adapted, stopped doing things, became slower, more clumsy, less energetic. Until one night, without much searching, I found a way. And that way gave me back what I thought I had lost. Hope. No, I'm not trying to sell you anything. There's no product behind this. I'm not a doctor, guru, or miracle worker. I'm a normal person who suffered for years and suddenly found relief in something as simple as a plant. And that's exactly why I share this here. Not to promise healing because there's no magical cure, but there is the chance to live better, to feel free, to be more connected to yourself. Maybe the pain won't disappear completely. But if you can lower it, calm it, control it, you've gained something great. Quality of life. Because pain doesn't just hit the joints, it hits the soul. It robs your will. It steals your joy. It locks you in. It makes you smaller. But when pain lessens, the soul expands. I lived it. I saw it in others. And now I tell you, you can regain your body. You don't have to spend a fortune. You don't have to try more medicines that don't help. Maybe, just maybe, the relief you're looking for is closer than you think. In an oil, a leaf, a simple routine. In the act of believing again that your body deserves well-being, because it does. You deserve to sleep peacefully, to walk without fear, to wake up without that stabbing pain reminding you every day of what you can't do anymore. You deserve to be yourself again. And if anything I shared today reaches you, if something inside says, I want to try, then you've already taken the first step. And that step is worth more than 1,000 pieces of advice. Now, I want to invite you to something simple. Write me in the comments if you've ever tried a home remedy for your pain. What did it do? What did you learn? Your experience can help someone walking the same path. Because when we share, we help each other heal. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being open to hearing a story that might also be yours. You're not alone. Your body still has much to give. And above all, it deserves peace. See you soon, and remember, health also arises from respect for the simple.